The United Nations Security Council on Monday held a meeting on Sudan with special representatives of the Secretary General for Sudan and the head of the UN Integrated Transitional Assistance Mission in Sudan, Volker Perthes, in attendance. For more on the meeting, I'm joined live from UN headquarters in New York by VOA U.N. correspondent Margaret Besheer. Hello, Margaret.
Hi, Esther. That meeting just wrapped up here a few minutes ago.
And what did Volker Perthes say?
Well, he said that despite many promises by the parties, the conflict has shown no sign of stopping. Let's hope things are better when this new ceasefire goes into effect in a few hours. It goes into effect at 9:45 p.m. local time across Sudan. This one, as you mentioned, was negotiated by the United States and Saudi Arabia in Jeddah on Saturday. And part of it is a monitoring mechanism to make sure that the ceasefire is implemented. And the envoy of Sudan told the council that that would include 3 persons from Saudi Arabia, 3 from the United States, and then 3 each from the parties, the RSF and the Sudan Armed Forces. And if there's problems with the ceasefire, then, for instance, if aid workers cannot get through an area or if they're threatened or something, they would report it to this monitoring mechanism. And you see those in ceasefires around the world. They're very important. So perhaps this time there'll be a better chance of it lasting. And it's supposed to be for an initial 7 days, and then the parties can renew it. The Sudanese ambassador did mention that the government would guarantee the protection of aid workers. That's been something very important because aid hasn't been getting out because of the insecurity. So, so hopefully this ceasefire now will take off in a few hours.
So, Margaret, what can you tell us about phone calls made during that meeting from the African Union and IGAD?
Well, I wouldn't call them phone calls. Exactly. The AU and IGAD joined the meeting by a video conference. That's more accurate. And the head of the African Union Commissioner for Political Affairs, Bankole Adoye, he said that the AU is working relentlessly to find an end to this conflict, and they do have a de-escalation plan. And the African Union Peace and Security Council is expected to meet later this week to endorse that plan. And let's hope perhaps that if the ceasefire holds, that will give them the political space they need in the next week to initiate some sort of progress on the ground. And also the head of IGAD, the executive secretary of IGAD, participated, and he said really what's needed is a coordinated approach. And we heard that from everyone, from council members, from Mr. Perthes, from everyone. There really needs to be a coordinated approach to this because there are many players, the African Union, IGAD, Saudi Arabia, the United States, the Arab League wants a role in this. So everybody needs to kind of coordinate it to make it a success. That was the message.
Margaret, what's the council's take on the ceasefire? Are they hopeful it's going to take ground this time?
Well, I don't know that anybody expressed whether they're hopeful or not, but certainly it was widely welcomed among council members, and they understand that there's a great need for it. There's 250,000 people who have left Sudan. There are more than 1 million who are internally displaced. Hundreds of people have been killed. Thousands have been injured. Power is shutting down, water, food. You know, people need supplies, and humanitarians need to be able to reach them in safety. So hopefully this will give the space to do that, and hopefully there will be start to have some sort of stabilization of the situation on the ground. The Sudanese envoy said some airlines are flying again into Port Sudan and into another airport he mentioned. He also said that there is calm in some areas, but we'll have to see what really happens over the next week if this holds or not.
Margaret, thank you very much.
But there's a big call, of course, Esther, for a return to civilian rule.
Thank you, Margaret. VOA U.N. correspondent Margaret Besheer reporting live for us from UN headquarters in New York.